And I wanted to go back to 2016. This is Cambium Networks antenna pattern on their ePMP sector antenna. They describe this as a 90-degree and a 120-degree antenna, and it's operating from 4.9 to 5.97 gigahertz, 18 dBi of gain. And you can see the antenna pattern is obviously computer generated. They show you the side lobes. But what's really interesting is that this is 45 dB of detail. So you've got negative 25 down here, you've got 20 up here. That's 45 total dB of detail. And interestingly, 0 is placed right here. Typically 0 is placed in the center of the antenna pattern. But it can be put 0 right here. That's curious. Why did they do that? Well, that's because this is an 18 dBi antenna. With 0 right here, you can see the gain of the antenna at any given angle. So you can come out here to 45 degrees and you can see that this is a 13 dBi antenna at 45 degrees. How cool is that? Super cool. And then even better, they show you the cross-pole isolation at multiple frequency points. So you can not only see the gain, but you can see the cross-pole isolation at 45 degrees. So this is 0, negative 5, negative 10. This is about negative 9, and that's 13. So you've got about 24 dB of cross-pole isolation at 45 degrees. And you can see that this is probably the worst case right here. This antenna has about 24 dB of cross-pole isolation. And you get multiple frequency points. So you get 4.9 at the bottom of the frequency range, and you got 6.0 at the top of the frequency range, and then you've got multiple points in between. Despite this being a narrow band antenna, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frequency points. This is an impressive amount of detail. And similarly, they've got the elevation cut here, so you can see how it's going to perform in the elevation cut when you're trying to plan out subscribers that are closer to the tower. So you can see how much down tilt you should give the antenna. You can see the gain performance relative to the angle on the elevation. Very cool. And also at various frequency points. Very, very cool. In 2025, though, this is what you get from Cambium. You say, that's actually RF Elements. Well, that's because Cambium joined RF Elements in the race to the bottom. So here you can see Cambium Networks and RF Elements partnered together in the race to the bottom, where Cambium is recommending, they're calling RF Elements antennas high performance. They're recommending RF Elements antennas with their radios. And you can see that right here. And now you get a single frequency point, 5.6. You get a hand-drawn antenna pattern. You get an assertion. The vertical and the horizontal polarities are the same. You get no indication of cross-pole isolation. And the reason is because Cambium, rather than doing the difficult work explaining how to use detailed antenna patterns, they simply joined RF Elements in the race to the bottom. That's because RF Elements has been beating up antenna vendors about detailed antenna patterns. When you show this level of detail, there's going to be a lot of customers that look at this antenna pattern, see all the side lobes, and assume that this antenna is going to perform poorly on a WISP network because of all of these side lobes. Because RF Elements has been telling WISPs ad nauseum for more than a decade that the reason why their antennas perform well on WISP networks is because they magically have no side lobes. And they got away with that by hand drawing their antenna patterns. So it was by lying about their antenna patterns, providing low detailed antenna patterns that allowed them to claim that their antennas magically have no side lobes. But when an antenna vendor releases a data sheet, they have a choice. Are they going to try to show the level of detail in the data sheet and lose sales because customers see the side lobes, assume that this is going to perform poorly on a WISP network? Or are they going to join RF elements in the race to the bottom? And a lot of antenna vendors have joined RF elements in the race to the bottom because they don't want to lose sales. So it's easier to go along with RF elements misleading marketing than it is to try to educate and lose sales. When I try to educate WISPs about how to understand antenna patterns, people beat me up. They say, we're never going to buy your antennas because you talk badly about your competitors. So that's the price I paid by going against RF Elements misleading marketing. But I can't blame other antenna vendors for choosing differently, because it's a difficult, like, I made that choice for myself, but the people at Cambium have to make that choice for all of Cambium. And that's a much more difficult choice to make. But keep that in mind, that when you support RF Elements, you're supporting the race to the bottom. Thanks for watching.